Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. Joseph Percoco, a former top aide and intimate friend of Governor Andrew Cuomo, was sentenced yesterday to 6 years in federal prison on corruption charges. Percoco was convicted in March of accepting more than $300,000 in bribes from companies that wanted to gain influence with the Cuomo administration. In handing down the sentence, Judge Valerie Caproni stressed that the punishment was meant to send a message to Albany that corruption will not be tolerated. In a brief statement, Governor Cuomo agreed with the judge, saying that Percoco's sentence should, quote, serve as a warning to anyone who fails to uphold his or her oath as a public servant, unquote. This all comes on the heels of other high-profile convictions by federal prosecutors of some of Albany's most powerful figures. And joining us now with analysis is Jennifer Rogers. She is a former federal prosecutor and a current lecturer at Columbia Law School. Jennifer, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
So first of all, Jennifer, very briefly, could you give us a summary of the Percoco case? What did he do that will now cost him 6 years in prison?
He took bribes from two companies, one of whom wanted a contract from the state and the other of whom wanted help with a project they were doing. They essentially gave him money, and most of it came through what's called a low show job to his wife. So they paid her to really not do a whole heck of a lot, and then Percoco was helping them on the backside with their projects.
So, the court's probation department, which is responsible for suggesting sentencing, recommended a 5-year prison term for Percoco, but the judge sentenced him to 6. That's just 1 year less than the powerful former Assembly Speaker Shelley Silver got for what seemed to me, in any way, much more extensive corruption. Would you say that this is an unusually harsh sentence that Percoco got?
I think it is a substantial sentence, but I think the judge was really fed up with them. I mean, her comments were very, very strong. She called him a bully. She said that citizens would have trouble trusting government because of the conduct of people like him. She really went after him, and keep in mind, she sat through this whole trial. She saw all of this evidence, and she really decided that he was a bad actor. She didn't buy any of his excuses. So I think she did give him a very harsh sentence, but she really felt it was deserved.
She also said that she wanted to send a message, as I said in the introduction, that she wanted to send a message to Albany that corruption would not be tolerated. Will this message be heard in Albany, do you think?
Listen, time after time we have these corruption cases, we have strong sentences being handed out. Not a lot seems to be changing. You can only hope that, kind of as it drips on and on and on, that eventually the legislature will pass some laws that make it harder to do this.
By the way, could Percoco appeal the sentence?
Yes, he gets one appeal to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals as of right. I don't anticipate he'll be successful there. Judge Caproni didn't make any mistakes in her rulings that I can see, so I think the conviction will be affirmed.
Now, as you said, most of the $300,000 plus that Percoco got went through his wife as those low show jobs. Why didn't she get indicted?
Well, we don't know exactly. Charging someone and convicting them beyond a reasonable doubt is a very high standard. It could be that prosecutors felt they didn't have the proof that she knew she knew this was maybe an easy job, but that she knew in exchange for this, her husband was actually abusing his position of trust and giving them favors. So it's just not entirely clear what she knew, and that may be the reason that she wasn't charged.
Could it also be political? I mean, would it have looked bad, perhaps, to the jurors to be convicting not the husband and the wife?
Well, that tends not to sway prosecutors. If they have a strong case on someone, they'll bring in. I think it's more likely that they didn't quite think they had enough proof on her.
By the way, this is the last case, one of the last cases that Preet put out for political corruption. Are you confident that there will be the same kind of zeal to go after political corruption in Albany after Preet?
I think so. We haven't seen many cases coming with the new U.S. attorney. He hasn't been in place for very long, but I haven't heard that there's any change in focus. I have to hope that to the extent that there still is corruption going on, which I think there is, that the office will continue to bring cases.
So in the 90 seconds that we have left, let me switch gears real quickly. There are recent reports that Michael Cohen, President Trump's former personal lawyer, is cooperating with the Southern District of New York here in Manhattan. Could that have significant repercussions for the president beyond the Russia probe?
It absolutely could. And this is why it's so important that Mueller has been handing off cases to other offices that are not within his mandate. The Southern District of New York covers all crime happening within its jurisdiction, which includes Manhattan. And that's where the Trump Organization is based and where President Trump lived for so many years. So the fact that Southern District has Michael Cohen cooperating with them could mean he's telling them about things that the Trump Organization has done and that the president has been involved in the past, tax fraud, accounting fraud, other kinds of corporate crimes. So that's why, to me, if Michael Cohen is cooperating with the Southern District, it could be very meaningful in ways that have nothing to do with the Russia probe.
And where are we likely to find out if there will be those repercussions?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it takes a long time to develop these cases. You have to get your witness and start thinking about what there might be, and then you have to get the documents to back it up and maybe give some witnesses immunity like Alan Weisselberg got on the campaign finance case a while ago. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but I expect that Southern District will want to look at some of those things, so we'll have to wait and see what they find.
All right. Very interesting. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you.